Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, today I would like to compare not 2, not 3, not even 4, but 5. All 5 nippers I have here. Sit down, get your favorite beverage and volume up. During autumn I received nippers from ST-A3. They are cool and I like them, but are they really any good compared to the other products on the market? Since my previous nippers were of lower tier, I asked JM Model to provide 2 nippers of higher price tag for comparison. Let's start with the cheaper ones. For the blue nippers I spent about €5 in the Czech market. They are two-sided, meant for rough work, cutting spruce, etc. Sometimes it's hard to get them into a tighter area between the part and the sprue, but for them I used a hobby blade. They are kinda fresh, so they are still sharp. I had another pair of them before these ones, so I can say they last, but they got blunt over time. Next are the red ones. I bought them for about 13 to 15 euro. Two-sided pliers, they are rather comparable in the feeling with the previous ones, except according to a description they can also cut smaller metal parts. However, they got blunt over time and I rarely use them, and if so, it's usually to cut spruce. UStar UA91340, provided by JM Model. At the time of making this video, they cost about 10 euro at JM Model. Nice two-sided cutters with the fine thin blade. They fit the tight space easily. I had a better feeling from these ones. ST-A3 Tools MS104. Rather nice. First one-sided nippers in this comparison. They come in a very similar packaging like UStar ones, with a pouch, a spare spring and a hex key. More about it later on. I haven't found them in Czech stores, so the following price tag is rather misleading as it's missing importer's margin. On multiple foreign e-shops they are offered in the range of 8 to 21 euro. And finally, Dispay, or Dispay, or DSPIAE, whatever pronunciation it should be. These are the most high-end pliers I got, provided by JM Model. Being one-sided cutters, they come in a unique packaging, which in conjunction with the very fine mechanism provides the premium feeling. I must say that feeling from these ones is the best I had in here. A box, a pouch, a cloth, a key to tighten the stop screw. Evaluation. We introduced all of them. Let's compare now. For starters, let's say we can't compare the first duo with the latter trio. These are different. They are okay for beginners. You can easily live with them for years, spending more time on cleaning your parts with hobby knife and sanding sticks. Even after you buy nippers like ST-A3 or Dispay or Tamiya, you will most likely use the cheap ones, as you probably don't want to destroy your fine, expensive nippers on cutting spruce. They are basic tools and I find them useful. That being said, cheap blue ones for $5 are obviously enough for you to keep going, at least for the time being. The more expensive ones are nice to have. They are not mandatory for your hobby, but they make your life easier and more comfy. Cleaning parts is less time consuming and much easier. You can consider them if you are looking for a way to improve your life or just to get something fancy. UStar nippers had a tendency to create a bit of a hole in the part. Quite minimal one, I have to say. Nothing that could be easily filled with anything, sanded or even ignored. Dispay and ST-A3 nippers didn't create this problem. Subjectively speaking, it is widely accepted that one-side nippers are better for a cleaner cut as the plastic part is held by the blunt side, while the sharp blade cuts the plastic, preventing the malform of the material. I also heard contrary from people who work with materials quite often, meaning two-sided cutters do not have to be necessarily bad for cutting plastics, as sharpness of a blade and its shape also affect the final result. Objectively speaking, using UStar two-sided nippers for a short period of time and comparing to the other two is not enough to really incline towards one side or another. Also, I'm not a tool or material specialist to really know what is the best way to cut plastic. Overall, the most expensive Dispay are obviously the most premium ones, but besides that cool feeling, they don't bring much value compared to steady MS-104. A big unknown for me is the price on our market. If steady MS-104 are cheap enough to make the difference, they would be my obvious choice for the more expensive complementary tool. But if they would receive a similar price tag to Dispay, their lack of equipment would easily turn them into a worse choice. Let's have a look on some caveats. Having one-sided nippers come with a responsibility. They have a fine blade, that means a blade can't stand so much force, so they have a stopping screw that prevents hitting the sharp blade with full force, avoiding breakage. Tighten your screw to avoid being disappointed. When adjusting, try cutting first, so you know you have the screw in the perfect place. Tightening too much leads to a bad cut, while having it too loose leads to a stopping screw not working properly. Having fine nippers is cool. They provide finer cut than the rough cutting pliers, but they are not suited for cutting spruce nor big chunks of plastic. Use them where the plastic is at its thinnest. Well, this is the end, my friends. What cutters do you use? Do you have the better ones? Feel free to let me know in comments and hear you next time.